Google Discover operates on a different physics engine than traditional search. The ecosystem is defined by extreme, sudden volatility. This graph tracks a typical publisher's Discover traffic. You capture 1 million views on a Tuesday, and by Wednesday, the system violently corrects, flatlining your reach to 10,000. Google's February 2026 core update is specifically built to address this chaos. This is a structural overhaul designed to close the exact vulnerabilities that have allowed the feed to be hijacked by manipulative publishers. Google's official release notes are highly cryptic, deliberately obscuring their internal vulnerabilities. To understand the actual impact, we have to reverse engineer the changes from the ground up. Treating Discover as a random traffic lottery will no longer work. It is now a guarded, programmatic gatekeeper. For years, publishers assumed that high domain authority would automatically guarantee placement in the Discover feed. That assumption is now a liability. This blueprint illustrates Google's new reality, a strict, three-tier filtering mechanism that every piece of content must survive. These layers enforce behavioral integrity, verified topical density, and rigid technical baselines. Raw content enters the top, and only mathematically verified documents pass through. Publishers must master this exact sequence of filters. Failing at any single tier results in permanent algorithmic suppression from the feed. So how exactly does this system detect and eliminate structural spam at that first layer? The first filter is behavioral integrity. It actively scans for and penalizes manipulative user experience tactics. Look at this user flow of a back button hijack. A reader taps an article, presses back, and is forcefully redirected to a secondary page, trapping them. Google Analytics flags this sequence mismatch and drops a quarantine barrier around the fraudulent domain. The second major behavioral exploit is the aggressive auto refresh. A page automatically swaps out the loaded article for a different one while the user is reading, artificially doubling impression counts. This script-driven behavior is now classified as an explicit negative ranking factor. Domains employing it are immediately blocked from rendering in the feed entirely. User experience is no longer evaluated as a soft secondary ranking signal. It functions as a punitive tripwire that instantly disqualifies entire domains. If a site passes the behavioral check, it hits the second layer, the expired domain and entity filter. Spammers purchase trusted educational domains, hollow them out, and inject AI-generated fabrications to siphon clicks. Google's classifiers scan this friction. A beam analyzes the disconnect between historical purpose and sensational output, instantly crushing the site's visibility. Simultaneously, Google deploys a countermeasure. It artificially boosts legitimate local and vernacular publishers, organically crowding out these international spam domains in regional feeds. Inherited domain authority cannot mask low-quality output. The historical context of a domain must strictly align with its current content. The final and most disruptive layer of the algorithm is the strict enforcement of topical density. This network graph illustrates the generalist fallacy. Left, a massive news site ranks across politics, sports, and food, shown as scattered nodes. Right, a specialized publisher features a dense, highly clustered network entirely dedicated to food. The algorithm evaluates mathematical density, penalizing topical dilution. Watch as an incoming data stream of food-related traffic completely bypasses the broad news publisher on the left, routing exclusively into the dense, specialized cluster on the right. Deep semantic focus mathematically overrides sheer domain scale. Hyper-specialization is the prerequisite for algorithmic trust. If a publisher attempts to cover everything, they will be served to no one. Even if a publisher successfully navigates those three algorithmic filters, they must still survive the final gauntlet, the technical baseline. This wireframe maps the exact media specifications to render an article. Feature images must be unblurred, maintain high clarity, and strictly exceed 1200 pixels in width. The loading threshold is equally rigid, clocking under 3 seconds or it is discarded. Google provides one authorized fallback strategy. If a site's native architecture cannot hit these rendering speeds, mandatory AMP implementation is required to remain eligible. Technical debt is an immediate disqualifier for visibility, regardless of content quality. The final operational metric is content velocity, the continuous output required to maintain established topical authority. Publishing 4 articles a month yields no momentum. The algorithm requires high-frequency output, often up to 10 rigorous articles a day, within your specific niche to maintain structural relevance. Because this algorithmic rollout is currently deploying, the feed requires a 1 to 2 week stabilization period before absolute traffic deltas can be accurately measured. In order to survive the 2026 Discover Matrix, publishers must manually strip out manipulative UI patterns, optimize for extreme technical speed, and specialize deeply. The algorithm no longer rewards breadth, it enforces precision.